Martin stands tall, Parrish leads in the guts, the train gets his chance, and the Dons hold on against North. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you on a Monday at Castaway Studios, and I'm happy to be joined by Mert and Joel. Hello, Merty.
G'day, mate. It's good to be back here again on a Monday, post-funeral.
Post-funeral? At least after a win, so it's nice.
Yes. Then another stirring, resounding victory. Mighty Dons.
Mighty Dons. And Joel, hello, mate.
Hi, how you going? I've decided I'm going to be positive all episode. I thought I'd challenge myself, so I'm just going to see how that goes.
Okay.
But everything is on the up from me today.
Can we start mate? Do you want to start a stopwatch on your phone, and then when you say something negative, we'll see how far you go.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout, actually.
All right, boys. A bit to talk about today. Of course, the game against North Melbourne, which we had a nice win over the weekend. No VFL, so no Paul today. So we'll save the hot takes.
That sucks.
A bit of ladder predictor chat. I spent 20 minutes or so doing every possible scenario that I could think of. So we can kind of wade our way through that at the end of the show. But let's just jump into the game because it was a chill afternoon. It was probably raining by the time the game started at Marvel Stadium, and North, I felt, brought everything that they could.
Yep.
They really gave it a crack for old Ben Cunnington, and even though he's an opposition player, it was nice to see him kick a goal and then get around him because he's been through some tough times.
Yep.
But they threw the kitchen sink at us and it wasn't enough. And we did what we had to do, Joel.
Yeah, we did. And it was really good to see such a positive win. Everyone really stepped up. And it was great, to be honest. Yeah, I wasn't stressed at all. Throughout the game.
Wow, I envy you for that because I sat with you during the game, and I reckon probably 10 or 15 times through the second and third quarter, I'm like, we're going to lose. I'm going to lose. And it wasn't until the final 5 minutes where I was like, no, we've won this.
Yep.
This is safe. But
you're being like mildly positive has become opposite day.
You reckon people can see through it?
Maybe a touch, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll read you this is what got me in the mood of being positive. I read a post by a guy called Sean Permazel on the Essendon Bomber fan club page.
Okay.
And it's quite a long one, but basically he said, Nick Martin played fantastic. Durham fantastic. Hobbsy gets busy every week. BZT's getting better. No Draper, Stringer, Setters, Caldwell, Ridley, Jones, Davey, Wiedemann, Tipper playing. And it just made me think, look, maybe we're a little too harsh on the fact that we do have a lot of first teamers out. And, some of these guys like Drapes, for example, really bring the energy when we get challenged. So I was like, I'm just going to try and keep it up.
Yeah. I reckon we got maybe 5 of those who are actually in our best side. Sure. And I reckon this time of year, most sides really have a lot of blokes out. I think for us, I think Ridley's probably the key one as well as Drapes.
Yeah.
And then away from that, I don't know how much we can really kind of
Paco.
Make obviously Paco. I don't know how much we can really make the injury argument. Especially given, the quality of sides have come up against recently, like we saw at Freo to West Coast.
Yep.
Yeah. I think for me, the thing that was most pleasing for me about this game and, whether or not we managed to resurrect and make finals, whatever, was actually just having those moments where we had just literally the baby bombers in the middle of the ground. It was Nick Bryan, it was Tsatas, it was Perkins and Hobbs all in the middle. And I was like, this is sick. Like, they lost a heap of clearances, but I was like, I'm actually just loving watching these young guys have a crack at it.
Yeah.
And I think that was my biggest takeaway from the game.
I think when the game was kind of there to be won, that's what Scott really went with. He kind of didn't go back to the old fold as much. And I think that was, even just from, I guess, from kind of a seasonal, like a broader standpoint, I think that was a real positive because reality is, and I've complained heaps about selection and I'll continue to do so until they get it right. But reality is Archie's had a real crack in the middle this year from the time really that Darcy went down. And even I'm pretty sure Anzac Day he was playing in the guts at times as well. So he's had a serious stint through. Other guys have actually had a run through at the start of the year when you think that Hobbs was playing in the twos and now he's almost a permanent fixture for at least part of the game in the guts. I think that's a real positive moving forward. And yeah, when you see that, like Martin back on a wing, which is fantastic to see. Archie just taking, that winning pack mark at the end and, going back and slotting the goal. I think that's all, they're all real positives to come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since round 17, Perkins has spent a lot more time at the centre bounce. Like he's probably averaged 40 or 50% of them, which is a big change from obviously the start of the season. So because he really didn't attempt one until round 7. That was his first one there.
Yeah, okay.
So and then Carlton, he had that huge game against Cripps, and then we've obviously seen it there. But I mean, like, he's just got so many tricks.
Yeah.
Like the marking the last month is really like I've really gone, oh wow. Like
I think the overhead stuff is like it's a genuine threat.
Yep.
It's something that as a midfielder moving forward, and I don't he's got other parts of his game that he certainly needs to work on, and he will, and I'm very comfortable with that. But yeah, that additional string to the bow is just it's quite a big thing.
So with the full strength midfield, we were talking about this a little bit on Saturday. If you look at the people that are in there at the moment that could be forced out, it's Hobbs, Caldwell, and Perk. If Shield comes back and Tsatas comes back, and Tsatas now as well. Perk is the one I'd be most comfortable going back to a forward flank because I think he can have the most impact there.
Big time.
Caldwell and Hobbs can kick a goal, as can Caldwell, but realistically, their value is in the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Perk can transition, so I feel like he might get pushed out, but it's not going to be to the detriment of him or us.
And I think Hobbsy as well. He's actually both Hobbsy and Caldwell have shown to me this year that they're actually capable, a lot more capable on the outside than I thought they were. Like they can actually hit a target and hit a target well. They can kick goals. They both seem to be quite accurate in front of goals, and they've kicked goals when we've needed them to this year, both of them. So I think obviously very much agree that they're future, kind of inside midfielders for us, but it is really good to see that they've also got that outside capacity too.
When was the last time Essendon had a marking midfielder? Because I reckon we've spent the better part of 5+ years more watching these teams who have these taller guys, and we spent so much harping about the bigger bodied midfielder, but we see these guys from other clubs who have that asset, and a lot of it comes down to the fact that they are very tall midfielders, but
it's pretty few and far between though.
It's hard to find.
Even then, like Fife's obviously a big one who springs to mind over the past 10 years.
Your Fifes, your Bontempellis.
But does Bont mark that much? Like I know he does when he plays forward, but you don't see him like actually through the midfield. Certainly not to the extent that Fife does.
Yeah,
like a lot of his best work is work through traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, and it was really positive. And it was a fantastic game for those reasons.
Yeah. I'll lead us off with probably I think the easiest good to start with, and he was the clear best on ground, was Ricky Martin himself, living La Vida Loca on the wing there, and back to his best, back to his natural position.
Yep.
He was winning the ball. He was getting a lot of contested footy as well, which is something I really liked, and just kicking straight. And it was it was that 7 or 8 weeks ago when we were all talking about him playing All Australian. Like he's not going to make it now, but
thanks, Brad.
But gee, he was looking at his absolute best.
Yep.
I think that's probably his second best game after his debut.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was trying to think, where does that rank? Like it's definitely up there as one of his best.
He's played a couple of good games over in Perth. He likes playing over there. But yeah, it's good to see him back. And then I guess that the weekend made me feel a little bit more like the last 6 or 7 weeks have kind of been Brad being like, we know we're not going to go far this year. I still want to find out more about this team, and I want to find it out this season so that I know it for next season. So just a little bit of those moves, kind of at the sacrifice in a way of this season to just try things out. Didn't work. He's back where he needed to be and dominated.
Yeah. Can we speak about that a bit more? Because I've thought about that a lot in like the last week or so, as to, the reasons and kind of the background rationale perhaps for some of those moves. And I think, I know Brad's overriding message for the whole year has been, it's really not about this year, it's about the future and all of that kind of stuff. And I think just looking at some of those more recent moves, like we've spoken about Kelly to a wing and up forward, and then obviously some of the selection, but, it's good that he's finally brought in guys like Baldwin, but there have been, on field, obviously a lot of strange moves. Martin, obviously the big one. Durham, I think, as well, like moving those two guys off a wing, been very interesting.
And Cox obviously going to a key back position for a period of time as well. That's another one.
Coxie onto a wing and then down to a key back. Another interesting move. And I think the position I arrived in on Friday or Saturday was kind of that position that you were discussing, which is I think he's trying a number of guys, and Kelly's got a contract next year. I don't know about some of the other guys that are, I think, out of contract and where they actually sit in in the club moving forward onto next year. But I think what he's trying to do is just trial plays in different positions, and I don't think it's even next year that he's, by the look of this, if we're doing this at this time of the year, leading up to finals that we probably won't make. To me, it seems like he might have been given 1 year, or certainly 1 year, if not 2 years of breathing space from the club to try these things. We'd hope from natural progression that we're actually up a fair bit further. But even this year, I think we're ahead of where we probably thought we would be at the start of the year. Could have easily won another 2 games. Even if we won the Sydney game, we'd probably be, really staring down the barrel of finals right now. And so I think it's probably just going to take, I think he's taken probably the first, probably up until now, to actually work out where some of those guys play their best footy and what he actually ideally wants the team to look like moving forward. And then 2, I think now he's probably trying a few players who, might not be a part of that future and might not be playing in the ones next year, and seeing if they do have any other, strings to their bow, if they can actually play anywhere else on the field.
Exactly, because when the, crunch time comes and this side's playing in a final, you don't want to be throwing a guy in a position he's never played before. So you do it now while I guess the expectations are a lot lower and we're not predicting much for you. I know I'm sort of jumping ahead here, but I think this Thursday is going to be a really fascinating selection, because if we are taking a long-term focus, I don't expect there to be much change to the side. But if they are really just going to throw it and go, let's just try and make this finals, then we might see a few guys come back in who may not be 100%. Draper, Paco, maybe even a Shield, for example, as well. Setterfield, the other one there as well. But if him and the coaching department are going to get sort of going, no, we're just here to keep playing. And if we win with these young guys, then we might not say much. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting week.
Yeah, for sure. Although I think we've seen it strategically as well, not just in terms of positional moves, but, our marks went from multiple hundreds 1 week to 80 the next week or something like that. Ridiculous. No, it's definitely changing game plan. Watching on the weekend, it looked like there was a lot of man-on-man defense as opposed to zonal defense, just to try it out. So, yeah, I think it's just all right, let's figure out how this all works and agree. And it's hard to take that long-term view as a supporter, and we don't have that. Or what we do have is we've been watching all of these players since they started religiously, so we probably know them a lot better than Brad knows them. You kind of forget that he hasn't been there and seen all of that and known all of that. You'd kind of walk into a club as a new coach not really knowing who a lot of them were or what they're about. How much Essendon footy we would have watched for the last 5 years.
And, as a coach, you can't just jump at shadows. We see a guy play one bad game in position, we're like, get rid of him, he's done, never play again. We all throw up our arms and all get upset about it. But you, a senior coach, you can't play a guy in a new position for one game and he plays badly and just give it up in one go. That's just not good coaching.
Yeah, that's my issue with it, because he's done that repeatedly. He's done that to Menzies, he's done that to Baldwin, he's done that to Brian, and he seems to, so. On to Thursday, and I know we won't, we've got another podcast for that, but coming up on Thursday. But
preview of Thursday show.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be pretty disappointed if he does rush some of those guys back, because a Setterfield has played one game in the VFL, given that they had a bye on the weekend. So I don't think he even got through full game time. So I think it'd be pretty contradictory again to be going down the path of bringing him back already. Who knows what happens? Paco, I always want to see playing footy.
Yes.
And, I don't know about the rest, but, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's go back to the game. Plenty of goods to pick out players and otherwise. Joel, do you want to take a good for me?
Yes, and this is just a really minor one, but it's something we were talking about as well on Saturday. Nick Cox sticking tackles might not have blown any games out of the water the last few weeks, but he looks stronger. He doesn't look stronger, but he seems stronger when he's in the action of doing things.
He's got real aggression in the way he tackles, doesn't he? He's really intense about it. I like it.
Yeah.
Puts his shoulder in.
Yeah. Like I keep thinking that like his arms are going to snap off, but you know, he's just kind of, he sticks them, which is good.
And
he goes head down, shoulder down. Like,
really not trying to give away like a high free kick, but he seems to really get them and kind of, as you said, shoulder them into the ground a bit, which is great.
I think we need to give Darcy Parish some deserved credits because I think he played a really, really good game and we hang a lot of shit on him on this podcast and I think sometimes you need to give people their dues when they play well. I know you're trying not to – I don't know what you're doing there, Mert.
I don't forgive him for the Port game until he wins us a game. So.
Yeah, well, look, I don't know what more you can ask from him in a game like that. I mean, look, he didn't kick any goals, but a couple of goal assists. He had most clearances for an Essendon player. He had second most metres gained on the ground. He had the most contested possessions in the game. And even though we were very happy about seeing the young midfield brigade at times, without Parrott in that game, we don't win that game. I think it's fair to say. I think he did a lot throughout the game that got us over the line, and I think he deserves his credit for that. So
yeah, good on you, Das.
Yeah,
thanks, mate.
I agree. I thought it was an awesome game. What I would love to see more of from Darcy, and I mean it's obviously something that we speak about probably a bit, is he's so aggressive at the ground ball and he's so intent on winning the footy. It just seems strange that intent doesn't sometimes translate to other parts of his game. But if he can harness the desire to get the footy in the first place and apply that to chasing and tackling and everything like that, he will be a complete midfielder because he was very, very good.
I reckon his tackling pressure and his chasing's actually been pretty good the last few weeks from what I've seen. Like actually like much, much, much better than what I reckon I've seen in the past.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't think he's been in his best ever form. But I think it probably, you know, it seems that better form kind of comes off the back of that kind of intensity and pressure. And, you know, as we've seen from Zach Merritt's year for most of this year, I think the defensive side of things, as you say, can really, and that's really propel things.
Well, that's it. So he gets tagged in that game, Zach, and was effective, but not like as good as he can be. But because he hasn't gone and got high numbers, he lifts the other side of the game and he gets the game high tackles with 9 tackles.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, all right, I'm getting tagged at the game and I might not win as much ball. How can I support the other team that way?
I think moving him to the half forward flank as well was a big move.
Yeah. And we've done it a couple of times this season now.
It's Carlton as well.
Yeah, and it's a good move to play because we need to be able to make moves. We can't just keep running out the same midfield 4 or 5 every single stoppage and expect, you know, a different result. So
I got one.
Go.
Hobbsy.
Yeah.
Talk
unbelievable. He's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what pick was he? 13 or something?
I don't know. I'm very bad at remembering picks off my head.
I think he was 13, 12, 13.
He was pretty high. No, was he maybe top? No, 13.
His first round,
He was pick 13.
Yeah. So I think, I think we got a real steal out of that draft, to be honest. I know there's a lot of unknown at the time around COVID and everything, but my God, the kid can do it all. His inside work is just so good. So good.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's also incredibly desperate for the footy, isn't he?
Oh, he's so hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think he had 6 or 7 tackles as well to go with 30 touches. So, you know, I mean, realistically, you're building up with Caldwell, him, Merritt, Parish, you're building up a real army of like, if you stop one, you can't stop all of them.
And I think that's kind of where we've gone this year with Merritt when he is tagged and just letting him go to a half forward flank and then someone else steps up in his wake. So, but like those are huge numbers for a second year player.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're all kind of forgetting that Hobbs is a second year player.
Because he has the quads of a 10-year veteran WWE wrestler.
Ben Quads.
Tombstoning someone.
Ben Quads. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what show I spoke about it, but I think there's something in the fact that he wasn't playing, you know, high school footy and like tack up, and the fact that he was playing out in Horsham and playing against men that I think just breeds a little bit more toughness than you get with other guys. Like, yeah, obviously people play tough footy at, top level under 18s, but it's very different to have someone 5 years older than you just smash you over.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They don't. They don't.
It's nothing like country footy.
Exactly. So I don't know. There's something about it. I mean, I know when we drafted him, we were like, oh, there's a bit of Selwood in the way that he goes about it.
Yep.
And, like he's a steal. Like I'm looking at that draft now, and like there's some pretty talented guys on the list, but there's a couple who've done literally nothing. Like JHF, Sam Darcy's barely played. Phil Callahan hasn't done a lot. Dacos, obviously.
JHF is like a really, really shit version of Hobbsy.
Yeah. Wish Hobbsy.
Yeah.
or to a lesser extent, South Australian Hobbsy.
South Australian Hobbsy. Yeah. Shout out to our SA listeners there. But like there's a few other good players there, like Rochelle, Jaimus. But like there's a few other guys in that top 10 that I'm like, Hobbsy's well in front of them at the moment. So, but yeah.
Done good.
Great game from the Hobgoblin.
Yep.
Love what he is doing. Should we talk about the Kaine train?
Yeah.
Big bags, Baldwin.
Late inclusion, surprise inclusion, but a very pleasing inclusion for a lot of people, including us who have been pushing for his selection off the back of some strong VFL form. And he played a very, very solid game for someone who, when did he last play? Like
Richmond game.
Dream
time.
There you go, dream time. So hasn't played in the seniors for a while, but I don't know what else you can ask for him. Like he's obviously he doesn't play like an accumulated defensive role, but he kept his opposition quiet, made some good intercept marks. He used it very well, and I think that was the thing I was most pleased with. He took the game on, especially in a game without Ridley, who is kind of that guy for us generally. Kaine bought off some pretty challenging kicks that there's probably some other guys in the back line who probably wouldn't attempt, and I
think he can be an accumulator though. Like if you look at his numbers through the VFL this year, he's got some really big numbers, and I think he's done it while he's actually defending as well. It hasn't been kind of a loose off halfback flank position. I think it's really genuinely doing that defensive work and then going the other way and making his man work the other way, which I think that can be really invaluable at AFL level. It was just good to see him a couple of times just to run up the guts, like hit a hard target that we don't normally, like Ridley's probably the only one who actually tries it. But even then, I think Ridley a lot of the time tends to go to the boundary and go too defensive. He was a couple of times basically straight up the guts, run on, get the hands, up the guts again. Like there was that one goal, I can't remember who ended up kicking it, but it was just straight up the guts, 2 kicks in a row to Kaine. And it was just, really good. So very happy with that.
So do you think with Kelly now being trialled elsewhere and Kaine coming in, is that Kaine vying for Kelly's spot? And
I think Kaine's vying for Laverty's spot because I think he's just a little bit bigger than him and he's more skilled than him. And I think Laverty would ideally take Kelly's spot.
Yep.
And then I think Kelly's out, unfortunately. But but then again, then you've got Ridley coming back into the side as well. Sounds like we're going to get Harry Mackay, and he certainly did his value no damage on the weekend. I think Lloydie had him as second best on. He kept on the Sunday Footy show. So
he kept Peter pretty quiet. So there's the problem about Ben Mackay is that he can't play well against Essendon when he plays for Essendon. So
who's he going to play well against? Them?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no other bunny teams.
Exactly. But look, I don't think we can say that Baldwin is surpass anyone at this point, but I think he's putting red hot pressure for other guys who are in those roles. And one, it's good that we can have depth options and we have different ways of looking at it. But yeah, I think he has attributes in the long term, particularly with ball, that a few other guys around might not have.
I thought Laverty was really good as well.
He was.
He was one of our best for mine. So I think the only thing with Laverty is he just, his kicking can let him down a lot of the time, and not even let him down. He just doesn't bite off. He plays within his, restrictions and within his capabilities, and so he doesn't try to bite off that, 60-meter kick up the guts.
But his defensive work is awesome, and it has.
I don't know if it's awesome. He does an incredible job for the guys he plays on at his size. Yeah. And he's so courageous and he gives everything he's got, and he's probably the first picked in the side, I reckon. But the reality is he's limited by his size.
Yeah.
And skill. So yeah,
That's fair. That's fair.
I've got one more.
Yeah,
I
go.
feel like our disposal, I know we didn't win by heaps and North haven't had a great year, but I felt like our disposal inside 50 and our lowering the eyes was a lot better than it has been the last few weeks. I feel like we weren't as Peter-centric. We picked a lot of better options and we looked more dangerous. And I also feel like because of that, we were front and center at a lot more contests inside forward 50.
Yeah.
So I thought was a real positive.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's kind of been like, and I think it's also credited as how good of a forward Langford is. That Langford, Langford demands it in good space. He's so good at making that run. But it was just good to see marks inside 50 with a spread of guys. Like Langford got 3, Wright 3, Jai Menzies 3, and then Flip, Perkins, Martin, Heppel, Guelphy, and Nick Bryan all took marks inside 50.
Yep.
So like you're looking around rather than just bombing it to him. And yeah, even though Brad was pretty defensive about it in his press conference last week or 2 weeks ago, I reckon they've definitely had a chat about it.
Yeah.
I reckon they have.
Yeah.
Well, about time too, I think.
About time. I reckon there's a couple of blokes we probably need to give a shout out. He essentially kicked the match winner, I think, young Elijah Tsatas, getting some midfield minutes, getting a fair bit of ball.
Yep.
Second game, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's it. He looked really good.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah. There's there's not much to add. There's not much to add.
He also has massive quads.
He also has massive quads.
Yeah.
Something in that.
That's the secret.
Yeah. Something in that.
Yeah. I'm never playing footy.
Look, as a man with big quads and no footy skills whatsoever, I'm going to say that goes against your theory. So, yeah, I'll stick to riding a bike. Jai Menzies, I thought was pretty good.
Yep.
Always good for a couple of goals. And I thought Matt Guelphy's pressure was pretty invaluable as well.
I think he stepped up when we needed to. First 3 quarters, I was kind of like, what's Guelphy doing?
And first half, he was dead quiet.
But really, when we needed to, lifted that pressure.
I think the scoreline really flattered North in the end as well. Like, especially in that kind of last, even, I don't know, we had a few shots at the end of the third, I reckon. We really should have won that by, 5 goals or so, I reckon. Yeah. I was thinking in that last that we were going to lose it because I thought it was one of those games where, you miss a few easy shots and then the other side capitalises. But thank God we're playing North.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it was on the same post and it was in the comments that I read out before. But another thing that made me think a bit more positive was like, if this was last year, we would have lost that game. Like old Essendon would have lost that game. New Essendon maybe doesn't floor them, but gets the 4 points, which I thought was a pretty good point made by whoever that was as well.
Yeah, and I guess that's all you can ask for at this sort of stage in the season where we don't think we're going to climb into the 8, despite the fact that we are 9th as it stands.
I don't know. New Essendon lost to Fremantle, who just beat West Coast by 100 points. So I don't know if we're that much different.
Yeah,
we've improved a bit.
It was. No, we're good.
All right. Any more goods before we get into the bads, boys? I know you're leading the positive train, Joel. So anything else from you? Positive?
No, I reckon that's about it.
That's
to be
about
honest.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll leave it there. All right.
Oh, I've got a positive actually. It's not about us. Should we go for Nick Larkey? He seems like a jet.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd give him up, but I'd love him.
Yeah, he's 56-20. I think he's kicked for the year.
Yeah,
with that opportunity at North.
Yeah, I reckon he's on. I actually don't even know what his contract situation is.
I'd take him over Harry Mackay for sure, and over Ben Mackay.
No, okay, there you go.
He also couldn't play on BZT every week though.
Yeah, committed.
56-20.
He's signed until 2029. I had a feeling he did sign a big deal.
Right.
So yeah, we won't be seeing Nick Larkey at the hangar anytime soon. Let's get into the bads. And look, it's been an issue for at least the last 6+ weeks, but just the team defense and the ability to let them move through traffic. And there was a few like I was looking back the replay today, and like you'll have like 4, like I don't know if we're like it's like some sort of zone that we're trying to do, as we're running back with the ball or running back against the ball. But like there was 4 Essendon players like in a square, and then a North player in the middle of the square, and they kicked it straight to that guy who ran, took a bounce, and then kicked inside. And I watched the 4 guys in the square all just kind of running next to him, like everyone's kind of looking at each other. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't like. Where's someone surely has to close in from this position that they've set up and actually try and attack the guy with the ball. So they're clearly trying to build something, and it's clearly a long way off being whatever we want it to be. But yeah, if we're letting the ball move that quickly against North Melbourne, God help us against GWS on Saturday. So that was my big concern watching that game, because it just felt like the ball was moving so easily for North, and they kicked a lot of balls that scrabbled on the ground and went to nobody because they're not very good.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, well, like it's a bit tough when we don't have our best defensive tackling pressure forward in the side in Paco. I actually think he has been this year. He was right up. He was like top 10 in the AFL at one stage.
Round 1.
Unbelievable.
Round 1.
Wow, it was like halfway through.
I love it.
He's just so good.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any data to back that up, but I mean, nor that
Just believe me, mate.
Just believe
Who
you.
needs data?
Who needs stats when we can just make it up as we go?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's definitely the way.
Yeah.
What did you think about what I
Yeah, look, I agree. That was pretty poor. Sorry, just my first lap was 30 minutes and 14 seconds.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and that is a real concern. But that's one of those things where I'm just like, you know, we need a person on each line that's the general of that. And, you know, even though Drapes himself isn't necessarily a pressure player, is he the one that's the general in that middle line screaming at everyone to do it? Is Setterfield the one that's the general screaming at everyone to do it? Is Paco the one screaming at everyone and not doing it himself but screaming at everyone else to do it?
I have some data. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So, tackles inside 50. Number 1 at Essendon, ranked 19th in the competition. Jake Stringer, 25 tackles.
Fucking told you both, dogs. Woo! Don't you ever doubt me again.
Langford 22, Menti 21, Snelling 18, Perkins 16, Caldwell 12.
That's great, actually.
Guelphy obviously
good.
Guelphy obviously missed a bit of football, but if you go on averages alone, Stringer 1.6, Tim Morty 1.3, then Snelling, Menzie, Langford, Tsatas. So, the Guelph would probably want to bump those numbers up, because I think that's what we want from him, is tackles inside 50 a lot. But there you go, Mert. You're right.
Justified.
You're justified.
Belief in Paco.
Oh, I guess he's
The
back.
prevails.
I guess, praise be to Paco. I guess he's back on.
That's it.
Back on Saturday. But yeah, I don't know. It's clearly a glaring issue is our team defense, and we're just,
Big time.
it's just a big problem.
Yep.
Big old problem.
Especially with some tired legs at the end of the season, which is probably what Brad Scott is discovering.
Yes. I've certainly got a pair of those at the moment. Any bads from you, Merty, that you'd like to address? Or questions?
Just the big bad from me is just Nick Bryan getting subbed off because I don't like it.
Okay. Who would have you taken off in that
I'm
game?
not saying it wasn't deserved. I just don't like it.
You just don't like him getting subbed
Nah.
off. Do you... here's one for you. If Sam Draper plays this weekend, do you think it'll be him and Phillips? Or do you think... Yeah. You don't think Nick Bryan has a chance of...
Not a chance.
Not a chance? Phillips
No.
getting his last 2 games?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Is Draper been training though? Like I think he only just got back to training, didn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of weeks ago, I think they said he was in full training.
Because
Maybe.
Scott was saying like he's not going to be, even close for selection until he's like proper competitive at training.
I've got to say, serious smoke and mirrors with this Draper injury. It was like, oh yeah, he's got a bit of a sore hip. It'll be a couple of weeks. It hasn't played since round 13. Like it's been 10
it was
weeks.
rested at the bye.
Yeah, this is like
After the bye.
like this is some serious TBC bullshit areas that we've been getting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know what's been the issue. But yeah, I think his hip bone has disappeared along with James Stewart's foot. So they've just gone AWOL together.
Too much whamming, apparently.
Too much wham.
Yeah.
Too much wham. I've written down here like Kelly on Zeeble, but I feel like we've kind of spoken about Jake a lot in the past couple of weeks. I don't know if there's much more to add to it. Is there?
Just don't put him as like a defensive forward or like anywhere in the forward line or on the wing.
He was
else.
He was kind of tagging at some stoppages. Like he was like on Simpkin, I think, a couple of times, and I was kind of like, I don't know what he's doing here. Just get him into the back line if he's going to play.
Have you seen Zeeble kick though? Like, let him.
Yeah. Yeah, he made some bad decisions, didn't he?
Well, the last like left foot clearance kick that Heppel ended up marking was just an absolute stinker. He was probably like 20 meters out and it barely cleared 50.
Yeah. That's a bloke who's ready to hang up the boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was one from Zeeble where he kind of burst through, I think it was Perkins and somewhere else, and then they just went end to end, but then nothing.
No.
Nothing after that. Yeah, definitely won't miss playing against him. That's for sure. Boys, anything else from you before we take a break?
That was the best game I've ever watched Essendon play. So I can't think of anything.
Wow, you are positive. You are positive. Do you want to talk about the Matildas? They're pretty sick.
That was great. We're talking about outside. This is the most stressed we've ever been, or I've ever been watching sport. But like, what a feeling. Get around them. Awesome.
Yep. Get around them indeed. Let's take a break. We'll be back after this with some hot takes and we'll get the ladder predictor out because, oh boy, it's chaos. Welcome back, everybody. Time for some hot takes, which is always the highlight of any show.
Mm-hmm.
We always love hearing from the faithful.
We do.
Appreciate everyone who sends them in. Lots to go through.
Speaking of hot takes, actually, I'm going to interrupt here.
Okay, go. I'm padding while it loads, so go.
I had a guy I work with today comes in with there's like a new extra hot zinger box, and he comes in and has that for lunch at work. And I just thought that was so rogue to have
That's outrageous.
On a Monday to have the extra hot zinger box, like to kick the week off for lunch at midday. I was like, I respected it, but I just like it threw me for like most of the arvo.
That is rogue.
I don't know if I respect
in the office.
Like that is crazy in the office. Like how much did it stink?
Oh, we were all just like flabbergasted just looking at him. But to his credit, he was walking up, he was on the phones, he was running around afterwards. So like he got the energy, gave him the energy, but I couldn't.
How much grease everywhere in the office?
Oh yeah, the keyboards were slipping and sliding.
Is he new?
He's past his 6 months.
He's past his 6 months.
Yeah. But to be fair, he did eat KFC a lot in his first couple of weeks and it's been a while. So I feel like he's now just been like, whatever, I'm back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's wild for a Monday.
It's bold.
Like, Mondays when like you're having juice and you're having like the most healthy stuff you can.
Sunday,
green tea.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Sunday, you're not leaving the house. No one can see you. All good.
Did he go out on Sunday night?
Yeah, maybe out a Sunday night.
I should have found out, actually.
Yeah. Could have been at Revs. All right, let's get in some hot takes. They have all loaded, so let's get into them. Our first one is from GC from the B. Thank you very much.
Come on, that Dons. What the fuck? Woohoo! You're beating me up. We are Essendon. We are Essendon. What the hell are you even getting a game, man? Marto, you legend. Oh, man, I can't watch this shit anymore. We've done it. Oh, my God, Cunnington. Percolated. Go the Flames. I'm freaking tired, boys. Why do we always have to do it that way?
I think that sums up the entire game right there.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah.
You were very confused.
Can we give him a mug or something?
I can give him one of the Castaway Studios mugs that I've got right here.
I need to order some mugs.
You do?
Yeah, they're fucking good.
You should order some mugs.
They're fucking great. Great designs.
Next one's from Willie the Wise. Thank you, Willie.
Tsatas, the kid's good. Darcy Parish, see what happens when he uses his head. Actually thinks about his fucking disposal. Very good.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
I think it's there's a point worth making again, which Damo made a couple of weeks ago, just about the way Parish, the difference between his kind of inside game and what you were talking about before, Joel, the way he attacks the footy when it's on the ground, when he, he's dishing it out, and then the way that he kind of runs for that overlapping handball, that next handball, and I think he just needs to take that out of his game, where he's being that one extra handball that probably doesn't need to happen, and he's just running ahead of the ball and he's just calling for it and wants to receive it when he shouldn't be the one really. He's not the distributor, so it shouldn't be him.
Yeah.
So I think if you can kind of take that out of his game and get someone else in that position, then stick to his strengths.
Yeah, like there are times where it's definitely needed to be that person to chain, but I do know what you mean.
Sometimes he just does it.
Calling from a more junior guy, you probably don't need to. Next one's from Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Hey boys, feels pretty good down here in the Bombers cheer squad. Pretty good win, but I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did up in your ivory tower in the Medallion Club. And, from the negativity of the Thursday podcast, I think it feels pretty good. Have a good one, fellas.
Yeah, fair, very fair. Well played.
The ivory tower.
Could we find our one listener to the Thursday pod?
Yeah, we might have. Yeah, Mert and I I'm not sure if you listened to Thursday. Mert and I were in some interesting areas on Thursday.
No,
I was so cut. I just get because it's just straight off the back of selection.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a grumpy old man.
Paco's back this week though.
Yeah.
My God.
Party pod.
Won't that change things?
Party pod.
That will be a party pod.
It's actually second time this season that I've booked this duo, and it's always a good duo. It's going to be Kingo and Smart Damo together on a Thursday,
that is a great combo.
They're good areas, those two.
Yeah.
Because they are best friends.
They crack gags.
They're very good. So I'm excited for that one.
Won't be much talk about the footy, I don't think.
Nah.
Kingo's on.
No.
Tickets, actually, speaking of 2 weeks' time, the tickets for the Pies game come out tomorrow at midday.
Yeah.
So we should definitely be getting on that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm ready to have my heart broken. Next one's from Ethan. Thank you, Ethan.
I've definitely been on that hate train towards Parish in the past month and a half, just about kicking, turnovers, disposal efficiency, whatever, stating he should be on the trade table, he's replaceable and all that. But I feel like these last 2 weeks or so, even the match against Sydney where he fucking turned it over every second, shows how important he is to our midfields. Like Curtis Taylor tags Zach Merritt out of the game, keeps him pretty quiet for most of the game, and our midfield's really getting bullied enough. And Darcy Parish, I think he had an equal game high, 9 clearances, and our next best was 5, which was Zach Merritt. So and the midfield's really getting bullied enough, and it could have gone a lot more ugly if we didn't have Parish today. So to all those nuffies and all that, they're saying, "Oh no, we don't need him" and all that, blah blah blah. He's useless, stat pattern and all that. Get a big fucking dog up you, because if we didn't have him today, we would have lost. It's simple as that. So, Darcy, I know you're listening. Please sign the contract.
I hope he's not listening. But yes, thank you, Ethan.
If he is listening, he's already just torn up the contract.
He knows where we stand.
Yeah. He knows where we live, probably. A couple to go before we wrap up the hot takes. This one's from the Big D. Thanks, Big D.
Oh, boys, another week, another Essendon victory by the skin of their teeth. I don't know what everyone else reckons, but I don't see the point of winning and finishing 9th or 10th. I want a draft pick. I've already come to the conclusion that we are nowhere near good enough to play finals this year. I don't know about you blokes, but I'll put the Q in the rack at about quarter time against Geelong. And I reckon the club did it as well. Anyway, so now we've got that out of the way. Let's just play the kids. Look how good Baldwin was behind the ball. I wouldn't mind seeing... I'd like to keep Cox in because I don't know where he's going to play. Is he better off down back? Is he better off up the forward line? He does a couple of good things, and then you're just like, yeah, he might come on, and then he gets the ball, and then he takes 10 years to get rid of it. So that being said, I'd like to see Voss. I'd like to see Tsatas around the ball a bit more. I know he's only a kid, but he looked pretty good yesterday. But, bring on... How low can we finish? Can we finish like 15th, Pick 4 wouldn't be too bad, but I think fucking Hawthorn's got that sewed up. Go Plains.
Oh, that was funny ending. That was a funny ending.
It was funny ending. Look, stay positive is all I can say. Don't worry, Big D. Be happy. I didn't want to do the funeral a few weeks ago. We were forced into it. Be happy, stay positive, go Plains.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I did. Season's been dead for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know. I am like, you know, you get that little dangle of like, oh, we could still make finals. And then you're like, oh, draft guide. Oh, finals, draft guide.
Yeah,
Oh,
I reckon the draft is more of a poison chalice than finals is, to be honest.
It's a fair point.
You want to be kind of winning games much more than losing them,
Yeah.
I think. So, yeah, it can be pretty dangerous to get into that mentality. Not obviously, you know, you'd hope our mentality doesn't get into the kind of player's own psyche or anything like that, or the clubs.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, because we'd be absolutely fucked if that was the case.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, don't really want to be losing games.
No, fair enough. Last one is from the kids. All right.
Hey, boys, been a while since I called in. Not a terrible victory. A victory is a victory. I had a significant few less analog darts than I did during the West Coast game, which was causing high anxiety. But my main message is the kids are looking good and the future is bright. Hobbsy with his massive quads running amok out there. Nick Martin living the Vida Loca. And how about Perko? Oh my God, Archie Perkins. I remember when he was a teen heartthrob in the beginning, but now he's that sophisticated hotness. Like he's going to open your door and order your meal for you. Future is bright. Cheers, boys. Up the Plains.
Archie was looking so hot after he took that mark.
Yeah.
He
Big time.
was like, yeah. You'd get
That was
it.
a hot boy moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real hot boy summer.
I actually texted his manager at that point. And I was like, boy, Archie is one sexy boy.
And he said, I have to delete this straight away. Because if this ever gets found out.
Yeah. Said, who is this? Stop messaging me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we never got Archie on the podcast after that.
I don't know why.
Who knows why? Who knows why? Should be getting one final guest from the club some point before the season wraps up, which is lovely.
Paco?
I don't know. Paco has been the top of my list for every list that I've been.
Do they
I've
realise that the list is in order?
I'd hope so.
Put a 1 next to it. And don't number any of
bold,
them.
bold.
Anyone else?
Size 50 font and everyone else is like size 10 underneath. Yeah. No, but I every time it's like, oh, who would you like? It's Paco 1, Paco 1, and then 5 or 6 others. I'm like, oh, if any of those are available, that'd be great. But he's always number 1. Good. Always number 1. Boys, I did some ladder predictor today.
Oh God.
And it's a murky world, the ladder predictor.
Oh yeah.
It's, a lot of false hopes and broken dreams with the ladder predictor. But I thought I'd have a look at it and I thought I'd run you guys through some scenarios. And I think these are right. And if either of you look at the run sheet, you'll realize how many pages of notes I've had to put together to figure out this. So without going like crazy with percentage, I'll just go on just like wins and losses. So scenario 1, we lose both games, we don't play finals. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what'll happen.
Yeah. Scenario 2, this is the one that's going to take a while to go through. So scenario 2 is that we win one of the 2 games.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, Mert, even if Carlton lose both games, they're still going to play finals. Just thought I'd throw that in there, which I know upsets us all. So these are the games that matter in round 23. So us versus GWS, St Kilda, Geelong, Adelaide, Sydney, Bulldogs, and the Eagles. Games that matter in round 24, us and Collingwood, Brisbane, St Kilda, Geelong and the Bulldogs, Eagles and Adelaide, Sydney and Melbourne, Carlton and GWS. So crazy. So for us to make finals with one of 2 wins, this is one scenario. We beat GWS. Geelong have to lose one of their 2 games against St Kilda and the Bulldogs. Mm-hmm. Adelaide have to beat Sydney, which is at home. And this is where it gets a bit convoluted. West Coast have to beat Adelaide in round 24. Now, for that to Derek's laughing over in the corner because I just said West Coast have to win. Now, one of the boys,
doable.
One of the boys from Pies Nation, I was explaining this to before, and he's like, "Oh, it's like Hearn's last game, fella guy's last name," and I'm like, "Mate, they're not going to win to give up Harley Reid on the last round of the season. That's not going to happen." So that's the scenario. Melbourne have to beat Sydney, so Sydney have to lose both their games. And GWS can beat Carlton in that scenario, and we go through. Other scenario is that we lose to GWS and beat Collingwood. Mm-hmm. Once again, Geelong have to lose one of their games. Adelaide have to beat Sydney. Melbourne have to beat Sydney, and then West Coast have to beat Adelaide as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You've got to win both games.
yes. Now, scenario three, we win both games but still don't make finals. So, so scenario three, yeah, I know. This get
Fuck. All right, sorry, just did a lap.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's another lap. You're positive. So we win both our games. Now, obviously, percentage comes into this scenario here, and things can get blown out. But so we win both games. The Bulldogs win both their games. Sydney win both their games, and then St Kilda beat Brisbane in their second game. So they can lose the first, but they beat Brisbane.
No chance.
Dons will finish ninth in that scenario, unless, of course, we happen to beat GWS and Collingwood by like 120 points combined or something.
Mm-hmm.
How low can we finish? You got that?
I didn't do that. Well, we can do that. We can do that live after this. So scenario 4, Essendon win both games. St Kilda lose both games to Geelong and Brisbane. Sydney win both games. Geelong beat the Dogs. We finish 7th. Dogs beat Geelong. We finish 8th. If Sydney lose both their games and Adelaide beat Sydney and beat West Coast, which they probably should, we finish 7th. Or Adelaide beat West Coast, Sydney win only one of their games, we still finish 7th. So all I can say is that I wasted 30 minutes of my life doing that today, and it was painful. But the moral of the story is that even if we win both our games, we still might not make it. It seems very, very unlikely, even though we are finished 9th. But the percentage obviously is a big factor in all of this. But we also just have to win. Derek's got the ladder predictor out on the screen over there, and he's starting to play around with it. But it is a hard one.
And then according to the current ladder predictor, the Dogs finish 6th, which means we'd be playing the Dogs in the first final.
Yeah, so
and we'd smash them.
Yeah, it's like I think
be in Tassie this time.
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe get him at the G. That might help. But we'll do your scenario, Mert. So all right, let's just go through these and we'll see how low we can finish. So Collingwood Brisbane is irrelevant. Richmond should beat North. We're saying Richmond beat North?
Yeah.
Yep. Richmond beat North. All right, we'll say Richmond beat North by 20 points. Gold Coast to beat Carlton.
Yep. Gold Coast need to be winning.
GWS beat us.
Yep.
St Kilda Geelong, who wins?
Well, for this scenario. Maybe Saints, I guess.
Adelaide or Sydney.
Geelong?
Adelaide or Sydney, Adelaide Oval. Adelaide? It's at Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
Adelaide, yeah.
And Bulldogs beat the Eagles. Melbourne will beat Hawthorn. Freo to beat Port at home?
No, not for this.
Not for this one? All right,
yeah.
we'll say Port. We'll say Port win. We'll say Port. We're saying Freo win. So we're saying Freo win.
Yeah, we want them up on points.
Right. So we'll say Freo wins. We'll say Freo wins in this one. So Collingwood beat us. Let's just say 50 points. Let's bump that up. Freo beat Hawthorn. Gold Coast beat North. Brisbane St Kilda doesn't matter. We'll say Geelong beat the Bulldogs. We'll say Adelaide win. We'll say Richmond beats Port.
Yep.
We'll say Sydney beats Melbourne.
Yep.
We finish 14th. That's the lowest we can go. So that's the lowest we can go.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we can fit. So it's a high of 7 and a low of 14. That is the forecast.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, that would be pick 5 before any other things.
Yeah. Do you reckon will North get a compensation pick?
Hope not. Hope not. No charity here.
You don't deserve to get a compensation pick if you've wasted compensation picks in the past, I reckon.
Yeah, no. There's no charity.
Anyway.
We've had enough charity in this league.
We have.
A high of 7 and a low of 14 is the forecast for the next 2 weeks. I'm predicting 12th. That is my prediction is where we're going to finish.
Yep.
We'll be 12.
I'm predicting 5th.
It's not possible.
Yeah, I'm predicting it.
What are you predicting, Mert?
9th. Worst possible result.
Worst possible result to finish 9th. Well, there you go. But if I have made an error in that ladder predictor, don't message me because I don't want to know what scenario that I missed.
And we don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But yeah, I hate the ladder predictor so much. I hate the ladder predictor. Especially when Carlton have made the finals. It is just
that's what I fucking hate.
It is a blow.
Red hot.
Yep. It is a blow. Fellas.
At least we beat them.
Exactly. We beat them.
That was so good.
It was great.
That was awesome.
Quite easily the pinnacle of my year.
Pinnacle of the year?
Yeah.
I think mine was Dreamtime so far.
No.
Dreamtime was good. Well, we probably would have been Carlton if we'd have made it to the game. We were in a bit of a sorry state.
Yeah. We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
We'll leave that there. Yeah. Yeah. Richmond was good. I reckon we're going to wrap the show up there, boys.
Happy days.
Let's go.
If you're happy with that. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Short show tonight.
No Paul.
Obviously, no Paul, and not a great deal to bring out of that game. And there's only so much ladder predictor chat that I can do before I go insane.
That's it.
Thanks, everyone, for watching on YouTube. Thanks to sponsors of the show. Thanks to our premium listeners. Thursday pod, Kingo and Damo Ryan. Lots of fun with those two. So,
That's worth a full
Besties.
membership.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just the show itself.
exactly.
Yep.
If you want to hear me ask Kingo about players he's never heard of from GWS, and Kingo just give you the life story about someone he's never heard of before,
Yeah.
this is going to be some good areas.
Bit of fan fiction.
Bit of fan fiction. We love a bit of that.
Yeah.
We love a bit of that on Thursday night. So Kingo will be red hot. I'm sure he'll have a bottle of red ready to go at his home in Geelong on the call, and he'll bring his best. So very, very excited for that. Murdy, thanks for coming in.
No dramas, mate.
Joel,
Always a pleasure.
Good to be here.
thanks for the great story about your friend from work.
Shout out to KFC.
Shout out to KFC.
Yep.
Sponsor the show. I'll eat a zinger. I'll eat a zinger on every Monday show if you sponsor us, KFC. So there you go.
100%.
I'll be enormous.
I'll do
bud.
more Monday shows for that reason.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you Thursday. Go Bombers.
Bye-bye.
Go Plains.